We're learning Lilo Nishmas, Shmar Yosef Chaim ben Yaakov Yisrael, the Gadol Adar, the Sarah Torah, the Tira of Rav Chaim Kanievsky. If it's anyone who was Zoichet have been in the room with him, I was there once. It was like Yom Kippur. He was an incredible. You see a picture of that man sitting in the room and realizing that how much the world depended upon him and the Klal Yisrael depended upon him, and it's very hard to imagine a world without him. And Chavlei Mashiach, maybe with this battle going on in the Ukraine and something. Amazingly enough, he was born Tesvav Adar Beis 1928. He died Tesvav Adar Beis 2022. He died on his birthday on Adar Beis. Talking about a person who was mashlim. Moshe Rabbeinu was born Zayin Adar and he died Zayin Adar. He finished every purpose of his life, and 94 years he lived. Just an incredible man. Okay, we listen to the overview because it's very much the Nagay, the first daf of the Gemara, the first block. We saw yesterday very interesting halacha. What's the halacha when a person does chalitza? You have a woman falls to a few men, and one of the brothers goes ahead and does chalitza. So the relationship between the brother and the one that is nechlatz, the one that has chalitza done to her, is clearly now you've removed the isur of eses ish from that particular relationship, that man and that woman. You removed it. What about vis-a-vis the other brothers? What about vis-a-vis the Yevamot? If there's a Yevamot, what's the halacha? So Rabbi Eishlaka said something very interesting. He said it's a one-on-one situation. You went ahead, you had a chance to go ahead and be Baina Abayis B'Yisrael, and you were over Kivin Shaloi Bana Shuv Yibna. Since you weren't Baina, Shuv Yibna, you can't be Baina anymore. Therefore, now she's a Lav. Conversely, the other brothers who did not perform Chalitza, they remain in the Isser of Eishesach. They remain as about an Issachar of a brother's wife. Conversely, Rabbi Yochanan was of the opinion, no. Rabbi Yochanan was the opinion that one man serves as a shlichus for all the brothers, one woman serves as the shliach for the whole house. So if there's two women, Chana and Penina, if Chana goes ahead and receives from Ruvain, receives Chalitza, so Shimon Velevi to Chana and Penina will both be just Chayve Lavin, not Chayve Karis. That was the machlokas between the two. Now we had a brisa we brought in that was mashma, the first part of the brisa. I think it may behooves us. We should go through the brisa again. Since the Gemara is going to answer, we'll go through it quickly again. Let's start Esive on Yud Amid Beis, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines up. We did this the other day. Let's do it again. Esive Rabbi Yochanan Reish Lakish, Rabbi Yochanan, who says the relationship is one of Chayve Lavim. The Reish Lakish, who says the relationship is one of what? Of Karis. If someone gives chalitza to his Yevama, because of the kitsha, and then after he gives, so Ruvain goes ahead, and he goes ahead into Chana. He gives Chana chalitza because of a kitsha. Ruvain then goes ahead, and it's mekadesh Chana umeis, and consequently Ruvain dies, and now she falls to what? To Shimon. Tzricha chalitza mina achin. She would need from, if there's more than one brother, Shimon Belevi, you would need chalitza. Okay, you would need chalitza. Now bishleim u'ledidid amina chayve lavim ninu. That's why you're going to need chalitza min ha'achin, because the kedushin was typhus. In other words, since when Ruvain remarried, the one he gave chalitza to, she was a full-fledged wife. Therefore, it's necessary to go ahead and get chalitza from the brothers because she's falling in a yibum situation. According to you, Reish Lakish, a might chalitza vis-a-vis Shimon Velevi, she always remained what she was, Eishes Ach. So you don't have to give a chalitza to a chayve karis. So apparently this is a clear raya to Rabbi Yochanan. Well, Taimechan, according to Rabbi Yochanan, aim a sefer. What about the sefer of that brisa? Let's say Shimon Levi stood up and was mekadesh Penina Achana. Aim el alav klum. Nothing. The kedushin doesn't work. Now, if it's chayve lavim, like you said, Rabbi Yochanan, why isn't kedushin working? After all, we hold kedushin is typhus by chayve lavim. That if a man is mekadesh a woman if a kohen gadol is mekadesh al almana, if a kohen is mekadesh a gerusha, in this case, if a man is mekadesh a yevama that had received chalitza, a chalutza, it should be tofis. So why loy maklum? Why is the chalitza of the kedushin of Shimon v'Levi nothing? So it's a raya that what? They must be chayvei karis. So true, it's shver to me the resha, but it's a raya to me from the sefer. Why is there nothing? So Amar Rav Sheshes says, Rav Sheshes says, Sefer, the Sefer is awesome Rabbi Akiva. In other words, this whole brayso is according to Rabbi Yochanan. The whole brayso is according to Rabbi Yochanan, in fact, and it's only Chayvei Lavim. In other words, when the brother Shimon gives chalitza, that goes ahead and matters the whole house. When the brother gives chalitza, that matters the whole house. Everyone is permitted. Everyone is permitted. And the reason why Shimon v'Levi ain't love klum to the widow of Shimon, Shimon went ahead as Makadesh, ain't love klum to the other brothers. Ain't kedushin taifsim b'chayv lavim, because kedushin is not taifis b'chayv lavim. We're going according to Rabbi Akiva, who says that if a kohen gadol is Makadesh an almana, it doesn't work. So who I did if you Makadesh chalus, it doesn't work. It says more of a listening live Rabbi Akiva. Pashta, since Rabbi Akiva is das yochid, he's the only individual who holds this. You should go ahead and inform us of that fact. Says the Gemara, Ein Lov Klum. Says the Gemara, Kasha Einach Nami, that's fair. There remains a question on Rav Sheshes. Okay, that was his teretz. Now, two more terutzim into the Kasha, guys. And again, just to reiterate, the Reish is mashma like Rabbi Yochanan, because it says what you need chalitza. The Seif is mashma like Reish Lakish, because you don't need anything. Good. So the first teretz we gave is it goes totally according to Rabbi Yochanan. And the sefer that's mashma like Reish Lakish is going according to Rabbi Akiva that kedushin's not taifis by chayvei lavin. Now we'll give two more answers. Rav Ashi Sava lo Reish Lakish. Rav Ashi holds like Reish Lakish. So now what's difficult is the Reisha. The Reisha, which would appear to be a riot to Rabbi Yochanan. So umetaretz lo Reb Shimon, and he's going to answer according to Reb Shimon. We'll see that in a second. Ravina Sava lo Rabbi Yochanan that it's chayvei lavim. Umetaretz k'Rabbanon, and the lands like the Rabbanon. So now the Gemara goes ahead and explains the statement that it just made. Rav Ashi Sava lo Reish Lakish. Rav Ashi holds like Reish Lakish that's chayv karis. So what do we have to answer? We have to answer the Reisha. Umetaretz lo Reb Shimon. Now, what did Rav Shimon hold? Right? Rav Shimon held that, just to reiterate, by Eishes Achiv Shlei Hoya Ba'aloi Mo. So Ruvain dies, leaves a woman, and Shimon is now miyabbing the woman, and now a third brother, Levi, is born. So when Levi enters the world, it's in the jurisdiction of Shimon. So if Shimon dies and falls to Levi, there's a chi of yibum. It's not a din of Eishes Achiv Shlei Hoya Ba'aloi. Even though Shimon's widow is Ruvain's widow, and Ruvain's widow, Levi, wasn't in the world yet. Rav Shimon's of the opinion, since when Levi came into the world, she was married to Shimon, it works. Levi would be, Rav Shimon would be Maida. If when Levi was born, you only had the fact that she fell from Ruvain and wasn't married to Shimon yet, that it would be Asa. Okay? So now, what's the teretz? Shimon. Someone goes there and gives chalitza to his Yevamot. This is the ratio that we mentioned on the Amid Beis. You need chalitza in the achin. Ma achin. Who are these achin who's going to give chalitza? Is achin hayeludim, the achim that are what? That are born. Meaning the achim that are born, right? That they would have to give chalitza. Kiman, Reb Shimon. This would be like Reb Shimon, because according to the Rabbanon, there is no connection whatsoever. According to Reb Shimon, since they were born after Shimon was Mekadesh Ruvain's Almana, it's the same thing as he came to the world after Shimon had been Miyabing. Again, remember, if Shimon's of the opinion, if when Levi is born, she's in the jurisdiction of Shimon, then there's a Zika. So too over here, she's in the jurisdiction of Levi because Kedushin is Tofis by Chayve Lavin. So when Shimon is Mekadesh, the woman that he had given Chalitza to, Ruvain dies. There's an Almana. Shimon is Mekadesh that Almana and gives Chalitza to that Almana. And then he does the wrong thing by being Mekadesh the Almana. She's Chayve Lavin. Levi consequently is born. When Levi comes into the world, the Ruvain's widow, let's call her Chana, is in the jurisdiction of Shimon. And now Shimon dies. She falls to Levi. Levi goes ahead and gives Chalitza. Levi goes ahead and gives Chalitza. Next, very good. And the Sefer goes according to, it's not a problem according to Shimon. If one of the people who are born already, in other words, Reuven, Shimon, Levi was born already when Reuven was born. Reuven, Shimon, Levi, Reuven gets married, Reuven dies, Shimon does Ibum, Chazis Chalitza, and then does Kedushin. And Levi's been around the whole time, right? Ein La of Klum, there's nothing. Why? Because vis-a-vis Levi is a Chayve Karis. Why? Because only Shimon gave Chalitza and not Levi. That's Rav Shimon. That's the way to answer up. Okay. A third way to answer up. Come on, Karesh Lakish. Ravina Sabalak Rabbi Yochanan. Ravina holds like Rabbi Yochanan. So he holds both cases are Chayve Lavim. And now we ask to answer the Seifa, and he holds like the Rabbanan. Again, the Rabbanan who disagree with Rav Shimon, and they hold that Levi in any scenario, whether she was in the jurisdiction of Shimon or not in the jurisdiction of Shimon when Levi was born, it vibes in Eishes Achiv Shlei Haya Labamo, and it will not go ahead and be prone. Going over the Reisha, guys. Someone gives chalitza to his Yevamot, the chaz of a kitcha. Then he gives kiddushin. Tzricha chalitza min ha'achin. You have to chalitza min ha'achin. From who? Mana achim. Achim hanayladin. The brother Levi who was in the world already. Since he was in the world, chayve lavim kiddushin's toifes. Give chalitza. Am I? Kiman Rabbi Yochanan. Seifa. Amad echad min ha'yeludim. One of the ones who were born afterwards. After Reuven died, one of them was born, Vikitsha, and now Shimon gives Kedushin, ain't tzricha of klum. Because she remains Eishes Achiv Shlehayel Bamo, which is the Chi of Eishes Achiv, which is the Chi of Karis, and what Kim Rabbanan, like the Rabbanan. Okay, so let's do it outside, guys. Let's do it outside. Two scenarios, three terutzim. The two scenarios that seemingly are sides to each other, that contradict each other, are the Reisha that says if a man gives chalitza, so again, our case, we know it by now, Reuven goes ahead, dies, Shimon goes ahead and gives chalitza, Shimon consequently goes ahead and marries her, then Shimon dies, the brother that remains gives her a chalitza. The next case, that's the case where Shimon dies, the same case, and Shimon dies, and then nothing, Levi doesn't have to give anything. So the first teretz was, it's all going to Rabbi Yochanan. Chayve Lavim gives chalitza. The safe is going according to Rabbi Akiva, also in Kedushin types in Chayve Lavim. Therefore, there's no yibum. In other words, when Shimon was Mekadesh the chalutza, since there's a lav, there never was Kedushin. So there's no yibum situation. Shimon's widow is not a widow because there was no Kedushin. She's still Reuven's widow. And therefore what? Shimon did chalitza already. Since she did chalitza already, there is no reason for what to do anything because there is no Kedushin, there's nothing. That's the first teretz. The second teretz is according to Rav Ashi. Everyone goes according to Reish Lakish, meaning that if you give chalitza, vis-a-vis the other brothers who did not give chalitza, it's a chi of kares. So the Reisha is difficult because the Reisha says it's a lav. Says the Gemara, who's the Reisha go according to? It goes according to Rav Shimon. Right, does Rav Shimon hold that when Reuven dies and Shimon does yibum, and then Levi is born, there's not a din of Eishes Achiv Shleil Mamo. So who are din over here? Reuven dies, Shimon gives chalitza, then marries her, Kedushin's typhus, comes along Levi and he's born, Shimon dies, then now since of Shimon, you give chalitza because there is a zika, because there's not Eishes Achiv Shleil Mamo. Masha'en came, the latter case is speaking about where they were the brothers that were noiladim, the brothers that were born. It's the chi of kares. Since it's the chi of kares, therefore, what you don't have to give anything. Good. That's the way Rav Ashi learns. Ravina learns no. It's all according to the Rabbanan, and it's speaking about Eishes Achiv Shleil Mamo, right? So what do we have to answer up? If it's according, and he also like Rabbi Yochanan, so the Reish is good. The ones that are born, it's a chi of alav, and therefore they give chalitza. The Seif is speaking about the ones that were born afterwards. Whether it doesn't make a difference whether they were born before Shimon was Makadosh or after Shimon was Makadosh. Since they weren't in the world when Reuven died, it's Eishes Achiv Shleil Bamo, and therefore Ein Lov Klum, there's nothing. And those are the three ways to answer up the problem. Baruch Hashem. New Gemara. Itmar. Habo Yevama. Someone goes ahead and has Yibum, does Yibum to his Yevama. Now, as soon as the one goes ahead and does Yibum, the whole house is free now. A brother goes ahead now and lives with the tzara. So what is the status? Is it chayiv lav or chayiv karis? So pligi b'ravacha ravin echadama b'karis. One says it's b'karis, meaning this is similar to the case of where you gave chalitza. Does it take off just the individual person you did it to, or does it affect the whole house? If you say you still get karis, obviously the yibum was only in that particular woman, like Reish Lakish, and the tzara would be a chi of karis because it's still the isser of eshazach. The Chanam one says ba'aseh. Tosfos says it's a lav. Okay, it's a lav. In other words, similar, like Rabbi Yochanan. It goes on the whole house, and the whole house is an isser lav and not karis. Mandiyam b'karis Reish Lakish. Mandiyam b'aseh Rabbi Yochanan. Am Rabbi Yehuda Marav Nu Gemara. Sara Saita Asura. Okay, right. So the Sara of the Saita. It's an easy case. I don't think you need a picture of it, but let's do the picture, get our money's worth from the book. Take a look at page 26. Page 26. Okay, we have over here, you have regular case, everything's kosher, v'yasha, no psulim or anything. You have Reuven and Shimon are brothers. Reuven has two wives, Penina and Chana. Chana goes ahead and she has an illicit relation with another man. Guys, this is called a soita vadai. This is a soita. In other words, when we use the word soita, we're used to thinking of a woman that is in doubt. She had been warned by her husband not to be behind closed doors with an individual. Consequently, she stayed behind closed doors with that individual for the time it would take to have an illicit relation. And then she has to drink the meimarim because there was no testimony. Let's say two people saw that she was with another man. So she's a vadai saita. She's not drinking. She's a vadai saita. She's also to her husband. So therefore, she's also to her husband. Chana is also to Ruvain. Consequently, when Ruvain dies, and Chana and Penina are falling to Shimon, and Chana and Penina are falling to Shimon, Shimon can't marry either one of them. Now, why not? So take a look. This is the foreshadow of the Gemara. Take a look. You see, he brings below the psukim. They're in the Torah. He has a Torah there. It says, "V'nistra v'hi nitma." It says by the Isha Sota, "V'nistra." She was behind closed doors. V'hi nitma, and she in fact was tameh, meaning she in fact had relations. And it says, "Al tetame b'chol ela." It says by all the aroyas, "Al tetame b'chol ela." Do not be metame all of these. So we have a Gezerah Shava now, guys. Gezerah Shava from Saita to Aroyas. Just like Saita is called Tumah and Aroyas is called Tumah, that makes the Saita into an Ereva. She's no different than the 15 others, right? That makes that the words Nitma and Tetamu creates a relationship of Aroyas. So we're going to view, guys, the Saita as an Ereva. If the Saita is an Ereva, so just like the 15 pat is the Tzara, the Saita will pat the Tzara as well. That's Ahudom Rabstin. The Saita will pass it as well. And now we'll see the Gezerah Shava in our Gemara. Amar Rav Yehuda, Amar Rav Marav, Saras Saita, the wife, Penina, who was the Tzara of Chana, who was the Saita, Asura, she's also to marry the brother if Ruvain dies. Why? Why is that? As my timer, Tumuk Sivba, Ke'aroyas. It says Tumah like by Aroyas. We just saw it. It says Minister of Hinitma, and it says Al Tamu B'chalela. So there is your Gezerah Shava. So therefore, it's like the word Tumah and Erva, like the word Erva is written by Saita. So now you have a clear-cut proof that what? That's awesome. Maser Rav Chisda now is asking on this. Now, let's say a woman goes overseas, outside. A man goes overseas, and now one aide comes and says your husband died. One aide comes and says your husband died. Now, even though the Torah b'chol Torah kula al pishnayim eidim yakum davar, you need two witnesses. When it comes to mishum iguna, which is the beginning of Masechta Gittin, mishum iguna, because of an iguna hikilu barabanan, because we don't want women to remain bound to their husbands, we'll believe one person to say, and therefore we'll allow her to get married. It's a tremendous kula of the Rabbanan that permitted to marry. She remarries, and lo and behold, the first husband shows up. The halacha is teitzi mizeh umizeh. She has to leave both. Now let's go through it. Clearly, the second one, you don't need anything. You don't need to get from the second one because she was never married to the second one. Since her first husband is alive, a woman can't get married twice. So if she's married to one man, she can't accept kedushin from another man. So number two is out. The question is, why are we requiring her to go ahead and leave her first husband? After all, she was an anusa. She wasn't at fault. There was an aide that testified. And then what Gemara says the following, that we expect her to go ahead and check. Isha daika uminsava. We expect this woman to go ahead and check as much as possible. Since she didn't check, obviously, because why? Because the husband showed up. Therefore, we give her a kanas, we cancel her, and therefore she has to leave her first husband. Good? That's the background to this. What happens before the first husband gives her a get? The first husband dies, and she's falling in front of a brother for yibum. Can the brother be miyabim her? That's the question. Good? So now, let's see, with that backdrop, let's take a look. Rav Shimon Aimer, bi'asa oichalitzasa me'achiv shel rishoin, paiteres tzoirasa. Either the yibum or the chalitza of the brother goes ahead and patters the tzara. Now, what do you need a patur for the tzara, right? What do you need a patur for the tzara for? Says the Gemara. Amalach Rav. What's the kash? Let's see Rashi, guys. This is Rashi. So this part of Rashi. Biyasa chalitzasa ha'isha shalach ba'alim b'nisayam. Okay, this is where the lines are get wide about 5 to 6 lines down. Ha'isha shalach ba'alim b'nisayam. Ubov amrulo amat meis ba'alach. Your husband died. She gets married. Dachkach ba'alah, her first husband shows up. Teitzi mizeh mizeh. Allah is she has to leave both. Meisa achiv. Mesu, if the first husband dies, achiv shal zeh v'achiv shal zeh choltzim v'lemiyavim. They both go ahead. The Tanna Kama says they give chalitza. If Shimon Aimer no, biyasa chalitza sami achiv shal rishoin paiteres hilachatchilas tzarasa. We see that the bia or the chalitza of the brother, we go ahead and pater the tzara. Shari kishar nashim legabe yavam. She's like any other one. Loy kansur rabbana miyavam, because they didn't cancel her. The vade miyavam. The vade shari why is muta. Shanusa haisha. She was a nusa. Sheshama shemes. She heard him die. Alma nivelas tachas baila shayit sarasa liabeng. So if she was nivel tachas baila, it's permitted the tzara to go ahead and yibam. Vafilu rabbana le polygraph shimon ela bidida aval b'tzarasa maida. But by the tzara l'chayra, it would be maida. So what's happening over here? She's supposed to go from the first husband. We gave her kanas, correct? But vis-a-vis the yavam, the one that she fell to, there's no kanas over there. Vis-a-vis the yavam, there's no kanas over there, right? So therefore, if the yavam had relations with her, or gave a chalitza, that would go ahead and pater the tzara. Good? Question. Why does the tzara need to be pater? Didn't Rav say automatically that a saita she's pater the tzara? The lashon of the brisa is, if the brother goes ahead as miyabim her or gives chalitza to this woman, that would pater the tzara. Why does the tzara need a patur? It's obvious that she needs a patur. Yet Rav, who's an Amoira most of the time, Rav is an Amoira said that she's pata. Now it's an obvious answer, guys. One is speaking about a vaday saita, one is speaking about a suffix, right? This one's the rabbanon. It's obvious over here. She didn't willingly go ahead and have an illicit relation. She thought she was permitted. So that's the obvious answer. So, but basically, we have the question one more time. Nachama, Maser Rav Chisda on Rav. You say that what? That is saita vaday. Patas the tzara. Rav Shimon Aimer bi'asach ois chalitzasa me'achiv shel rishoin. The first brother goes ahead and miyabing this woman or gives a chalitza pateres tzarasa. That would pater the tzara. In other words, The only reason she has to live with the first husband is she didn't go ahead and check it out. Vis-a-vis the Yavam, there's no Issa. The Yavam doesn't carry, he has to divorce the guys. The Yavam is it. There's not. The first husband that she didn't check out, get divorced. But he died. So now she's falling to Yibam. There was no reason that she shouldn't fall to Yibam. It's a classic Yibam case. So if he goes ahead, that brother gives her Yibam or Chalitza, that pat is the Yavam. So Amalach Rav, Aminul Chanas Soita de Raisa, the Amali Soita de Rabbanon. I go ahead and tell you a Soita de Raisa, and you're telling me a Soita de Rabbanon. This woman was an Anusa. She had Adis that her husband was dead. She's a Soita de Rabbanon, even though she married a second time and had relations with a second man. We're speaking about a woman who illegally knew she was married and she went ahead and had illicit relations. That's a Saita. How can you compare the two? I said that case is where the Tzara goes free. If it's a Saita de Rabbanon, where she went ahead and remarried based upon the testimony of a single individual about a husband overseas, you can't compare the two. It says the Gemara, it's so pashit, what were you thinking? In other words, sometimes the Gemara asks the kasha that it's so obvious the answer, you have to ask the question, why? What were you thinking when you asked the question? The Gemara doesn't waste its words. There's always a reason behind it. Why would the Gemara go over here? What's the Gemara's reasoning over here? What's the Gemara's reasoning over here? Doing a little house cleaning over here, a lot of dust. So it says the Gemara, Kol the tikkun Rabbanu came the Raisa tikkun. I'll tell you what I thought. When the Rabbanu come up with takana usually has a source in the Raisa. So here's my question. Since the Oraisa, if she was a Saita, it would pat to the Tzara, I would have thought, even in the Rabbanic situation, where she was a Saita only because she thought her husband was dead, it also would pat to the Tzara. Kemash not. But that was the Havamina of the Gemara. Okay, outside, let's just recap what we just did. Okay, we've been discussing relationships where something went wrong. We want to know the vis-a-vis the tzara, because we got into this whole sugya. Since there are 15 that patis the tzara, we saw a 16th, maybe it's imu anusas ovid, the mother who was the anus of the father, even Levian included in his list. Rabbi said you're missing the boat because it's not included because we're not speaking machlokes, or it doesn't fulfill the rules that we made it yesterday of Reb Chia. So we're continuing that discussion. We continue with the case of is a chalutza that was mekadesh. So a man was mekadesh a chayve lavim, a chalutza fell to the. We said it doesn't part of the tzara. It doesn't part of the tzara according to Rabbi Yochanan. Then we went ahead. Now we have another case. Rav says if you have vadai saita goes ahead and partas the tzara. If you might remember, we brought it on Daf Gimel. The 15 excludes that case. That's the first time we met it. So the Gemara is asking, how could you tell me a saita is partas the tzara? I'll show you a case of a type of saita that doesn't. What's the type? If we're defining saita, a woman who's married, had relations with another man, I have another situation. A woman is told her husband's dead. We accept his testimony. She remarries upon that testimony. He shows up, right? Before the halacha is the Rabbanan made a knas that she should have checked him out. He has to divorce her, but he doesn't divorce her consequently because he dies. Now that he's dead, she falls to the Yavam. The Yavam doesn't have to divorce her. The Yavam did nothing wrong. So you have a regular case of regular Yavam situation. As soon as he does Yibum or Chalitza, the Tsar is free. By saying that Tsar is free, it's mashma that what? That it wasn't Pater, Kasha on Rav. And for the Gemara, it's not comparable. By Rav, it's speaking a case of Vadai one. Over here, it's only the Rabbanon. What was the Havamina? I would have thought the Rabbanon, when they made a takana, they would make it in the same gedarim, the same boundaries of what? Of the Daraisa. And just like the Daraisa patit, so to the Rabbanon Shapata. That was the question. And of course, the answer is it doesn't pata. It's not the same. Good? Very good. The Gemara now will go ahead and ask on Rav again. Again, that question. Vasa Ravashi. Niknasa imay l'seis. Now, again, the classic saita is a man tells his wife, I don't want you being behind closed doors with Harry. Consequently, she's behind closed doors with Harry. 2 Eidim testified to that fact. Well, and then there's Eidis that what? There's no other Eidim that she did anything wrong. But she remained behind closed with Harry that she could have done something wrong. That woman has to drink the Mei Ma'arim. She has to drink the water to ascertain, because as soon as her husband gave her what's called kina, warning, and stira. She was behind closed doors. She now is usher to her husband till she drinks. She's usher to her husband, and if she doesn't drink, she's never meant to live with her husband. So now, she goes behind closed doors with Harry. And she remains behind closed door. The share would take for Tuma. Asura lebesa, she's usher to her husband. And if she is married to a Kayin, Asura lechel b'truma, she would not be able to eat truma. The imace, and if Harry dies, not Harry, excuse me, the husband. Harry was the boil. If the husband dies, the Kayin, chayletzes amid beis, she receives the brother of the mace gives the chalitza b'lemis v'abemes. Right? Rashi says b'lemis v'abemes taimim fresh perikam the saita ketani mi. So we'll explain. Ketani mias chayletzes. It's kasha l'rav. Guys, you have a kasha. Why does he have to go ahead and do you l'chayra? It should pata. L'chayra it should go ahead what? You should it should pata. She should not need what anything. Why? Because she was a saita. So and she shouldn't fall to the brother. She should be an erva. How can you compare the two? I told you a woman that there was aidus to the fact that they had relations, and you go ahead and have a case of vada of none. Says I know vada saita amid vada saita, and you tell me saita safik where you don't know. For the Gemara, Maishla saita vadai mishum dechsiv beit tuma. The reason is it says tuma again, minister of hinit ma, and it says al tatamu b'chalelu. So in other words, we get suffix saita nami tuma ksiv ba the Tanya, but it says by site suffix saita. Now, this is important. I know you guys can see this, right? Yes, no, maybe you're seeing this? Okay, Baruch Hashem. Now, a man takes a woman and lives with her. She's a full-fledged wife. She doesn't find favor in his eyes. He found something wrong in the marriage. He writes her what we call a get. He gives it to her. He sends her away. She goes out. She marries somebody else. And Nebuch, she has no hatzlach in the second marriage either. The chasala sefer krisis v'nasam biyada v'shilchem mibeisai. Oy ki yamos the isha achrein. The second husband dies. Ashel lekachla leisha lo yucha baila rishon ashel shilcha loshav lekachta lias leisha. The first husband cannot go that sent her away, cannot take her back. This is called machse grushaso. This is called machse grushaso. You can't take it back. Why? Let me put this on top. You can't take it back. Guys, HaKadosh Baruch Hu calls Machzeh Grushaso, you know what he calls it? He calls it a to'eva. He calls it an abomination to take a woman back that married another man. And it says the Lashon Hu Tama'a. It says the Lashon Hu Tama'a. Just blog material. Very interesting enough. I forgot. I think it's a Sforno. One of the Rishonim says the reason why Machzeh Grushaso is usher is because of wife swapping. If you'd be able to go ahead, divorce your wife, that she could marry another man and then get divorced from the other man and come back to you, that's the concern is wife swapping. So to go ahead and take that off the table, it's finished. If she goes with another man, it's over. A fascinating reason behind the mitzvah. Bottom line over here, it says that what? It says that it's called the lashon of hutama'ah, and it's a lav. So what would happen in the following case? Let's say a man. Okay, we'll get to that case soon. So this case, clearly, the way I'm learning is not speaking about a sota at all. It's speaking about a machzeh grushaso. There's not a sota. It's speaking about a woman that's machzeh grushaso. Good. That's what it's speaking about. We're going to have an opinion. It's speaking about a suffix, a saita. It's speaking about a suffix saita, and it says the lashon hu tamah. So the Gemara's question is the reason why, guys, avadei saita patas the tzara is because of the lashon of tuma and the gzeres shava to arayos. Over here, if this pasuk is speaking about a suffix saita, and it uses the lashon of hutama of tamei, it also should pater the tzara. And that's the question. Fred the Gemara Kasha. Umaish three lines from the top. Umaish nesota vadai. What's the reason that paters the tzara? Mishum dechsiv ba tuma, because it says tuma, right? Vinistra v'hinit ma. Saita suffix nami. A suffix saita also tuma kasiva ba. It says the lashon of tuma over there. Where do you see that? The Tanya, Rabbi Yossi ben Kippur Omer. Rabbi Yossi ben Kippur says, Omer mishum Rabbi Elazar, the name of Elazar. Hamaksa grusha min hanisuin. If someone goes ahead and takes back a gerusha after the marriage had been consummated with the second husband, asura. Mina erisin, if she was only engaged to a second husband, then muteres. Mishum shenemar acharei asher hu tama'a. Only after she had been tumah, meaning she lived with another man. The Chachamim moimim, no. Achazu v'achazu, whether it's erisin or kedushin in even erisin, it's also to take it back. Asura. So if that's the case, what am I going to use ashahu tama'a for? After all, she never lived with the second husband, according to the Chachamim. She was only engaged. Elamani mekayim achrehu tama'a. After, again, she hadn't been in touch with the second husband, so she wasn't talking with the second husband, then obviously it can't be going on machzak shaso. It must be l'rabbois soita shenistara. It might go ahead to include a soita that had been behind closed doors, but you don't know. But it's calling it hutama'a. So frag the Gemara kasha. If the reason of vadai soita is an erva, because it says lashon of tuma, a suffix soita also should be an erva, because it uses the lashon of soita. Right? It's a beautiful limud, and it's based upon using the pasuk of Makseh Geshaso to mean that speaking about a suffix saita. And for the Gemara, my nistara is nivala. It's over here, guys. This pasuk is not speaking about. The pasuk is not speaking about a. It's not speaking about a saita. This pasuk is speaking about a vadai saita. It's not speaking about a suffix saita. It's speaking about a vadai saita. It's speaking about a vadai saita. V'amai korele nistara. What do you call nistara? Is lishna al yanakit. It's a lashon lishna alma. We're using a nice lashon v'nistara. V'nistara v'hinit ma, meaning when it says v'nistara by saita, v'nistara v'hinit ma, that means a vadai saita. It doesn't mean a suffix saita. And the reason we're using lashon of nistara, the Torah is using a clean lashon. It says the Gemara nivala tuma behedlik sivba. By nivala, it says tuma openly. It says v'nistara v'hinit ma. It says after she's tamei. So why would you have to say that the pasuk of vad of Makseh Geshaso is speaking about a suffix saita, a vadai saita? L'meikim ala belav. That's to go ahead vad and establish it that it's speaking belav. In other words, an extra lav to be with her. If a man is with his wife after she was with another man, then it's a lav. You know, he's married to her, but she's with another man. It's a lav to be with her again. The bottom line is it's not a kasha. Your kasha was it says tuma by a suffix saita. It does not say tuma by a suffix saita, guys. It does not. It says tuma by a vadai saita, but a suffix saita not. And therefore, there's a din of chalitza by the Sarah. So right now, Rav has held serve. His din of vadai saita is complete. Okay. Now, that pasuk of Makseh Geshaso, there's a machlokes. One we just said is that we said it's speaking about a suffix saita, and here's the second pshat. Basically, Kippur lav b'saita, less like he doesn't hold as a lav b'saita. So if he doesn't hold a lav b'saita, guys, that means he darshans that pasuk by Makseh Geshaso. Again, it's that pasuk, the latter part, that created the lav by saita. Right? We wanted to say, why do you need it for? To create a lav. He says there's no lav by saita. He says if a man is permitted to live with his wife if she was a saita, which is a big chiddush, guys. A man's permitted to live with his wife if she's a saita. Now, va'afil zenoi. Nami. Now, so the afilu zinoi nami, and even if what there's no nami, my timer. What's the reason? Why isn't it good now? If afilu zinoi nami, now my timer. Now stop. My timer. Why isn't it going on saita? Why does he say it's going on? This pasuk, guys. Why does he say the pasuk? Why does he say this pasuk is going on a woman and not a saita, a suffix. Why does he say that what? It's going on machshir so? Because look what it says over here. Ervas dava, v'chasla sefer cases, v'nasim b'yadav, v'shulchan beisai, v'yatzim beisai, because she goes ahead what? And she leaves the house. She goes ahead and she leaves the house. For hoisa li'ish acher, hoisa, guys, is mashma lashon of kedushin. Hoisa, chsiv, like that's mashma of a hoisa. She will be to another man, meaning that's a lashon what of kedushin. Now, what does it say? Oy ki yomas isha achroin, asher lokacha loy leisha. So obviously he was married to her. So it can't be going on a saita. It must be going on what? A machshir kushaso. It must be going on what we thought all along. It's speaking about that Indian. It's speaking. Therefore, there's no law for saita. Therefore, there's no law for avadei saita according to Rabbi Yosef ben Kippar. So, Nachamo. Rabbi Yosef ben Kippar loved the saita leslie. Vafilus and noinami. My time. What's the reason? Again, if the source is that pasuk we just put up on the screen, that's not speaking about a saita. That's speaking about a married woman. Why? Havaya v'ishas ksivbei. It says lashon v'haisa, lashon havaya. Oh, it says lashon isha. She goes li'ishachesh to be to another man. So therefore, it says the lashon of ishas. So therefore, it can't be going on a saita, but it's going rather on mashuk kushaso. Now, boy minei Rav Yehuda and Rav Sheshes. Now that we established mashuk kushaso, right? What happens if she goes ahead, a man marries her, has another wife. So a man is married to Chana. A man divorces Chana. A man, and Chana goes marry somebody else. A man then remarries Chana, and that man has another wife, Penina, and then that man Ruvain dies. So we have falling in front of Shimon now, two women. The woman that Ruvain had brought back illicitly, because he shouldn't have brought her back, Chana, and Penina, the Tzara. Good. See, as you get better in Yevamot, you don't even need the book, right? You just, don't worry, you'll need the book. But not for this case, you'll need it for some other case, but you don't need the book. Okay, so now, boy minei Rav Yehuda Rav Sheshes. Hamachsa grushaso, Reuven took back a woman that he had been remarried, Mishanisas, umeis, and he dies. She had married somebody else. He's not allowed to marry her. It's a chayv eladim. He dies. And now, what about Penina? Says the Marat Sarasa Mahu. What's the din? Can you do Yibam? Says Rashi, Sarasa Mahu. What's the din? Lihisyaben Sarasa Kimoisa. Okay, can you go ahead? Does she have the same status as the Machshir Kushaso? Or you could do Yibam. Now I'll leave it to Rabbi Yosef ben Kippar. It's not a Shaila, Rabbi Yosef ben Kippar. He doesn't have a lav. Even though Rabbi Yosef ben Kippar, Tumah b'Machshir Kushaso, Hu Dichsiva, the pasuk of Asher Hu Tamah is speaking about Machshir Kushaso. Sarasa Kamoisa, that Sarah is just like her. Again, he darshan this pasuk, guys. This lashon, guys, take a look. Ashehu Tama is going on a machzor grushaso. So therefore, the Sarah will be the same as her. Just as you can't be miyabim the machzor grushaso, you can't be miyabim the Sarah, because it's going on the machzor grushaso. That's not a shaila. Our shaila is the chachamim who use that pasuk for saita. Guys, our shaila of the tzara of machzor grushaso is according to the chachamim who use that pasuk for saita. Or v'imishum dechsiv ba tayeva he, or because it says the lashon that it's a tayeva. He tayeva, she, the machzor grushaso is a tayeva for remarrying her husband. Ve'in boneh tayevim, but the children born from that relationship they're not mamzerim, they're kasha. Hatzarasa tayeva. Mashma, but the tzara would be a tayeva, and you can't marry. Kiti boy lachaliv the rabbanon. Who's the shaila according to the rabbanon? Afagav dam rabbanon tumah b'saita hu dechsiv. Even though the pasuk, the way they darshan it, asher tamasa, is speaking about a saita, a suffix saita. Ein mikra yetzim de pshutai. If you go according to the pasuk literal reading of the pasuk, it's speaking about machshir kushaso, and therefore she's considered tamei. Idil makivin the aker. Since we were oiked from Pasha Peshat to say it's speaking about a saita, it's speaking about a saita. So you don't have a source that she should be tamei. So here's the shaila: can you do yibam to the tzara? Do we view her as the same as machzor grushaso and you can't, or do we view it totally as a full-fledged yavama and you could? There's another way to learn the shaila. Ikedi ami aliba the rabbanon loyti boilach. The rabbanon, there's no question. The rabbanon are the ones who say it's speaking about saita. Even this Yaker, since you said it, she's not in the ballpark. So she's not in the ballpark. So it's not speaking about Machzeh Grushaso at all, and therefore you should be able to do Yibum. It's according to Rabbi Yossi ben Kippar, that the whole pasuk is speaking about Machzeh Grushaso. Do we say that right? You can or you can't? My. After Rabbi Yossi ben Kippar to Machzeh Grushaso, who dechsiva miyat rachmana he tayeva vein sarasa tayeva. Maybe it says she's a tayeva, but not a tzara. Again, how do you view this pasuk, guys? Look, take a look. How do you view this pasuk? Let's get mileage out of this. Rabbi Yossi ben Kippur says the whole parsha is speaking about Machzeh Grushaso. Lo yuchel ba'ila harishon asher shulcha, the first husband that sent her away, Lashuv lekachta, to return and take her, Lias Latisha, to marry her again. Achrei hu tamah, she had been married to another man. Ki ta'eva, it's a ta'eva. Now, meaning it's a ta'eva for her, but it's not a ta'eva for the tzara, right? And therefore you would be able to marry. That's what the Gemara goes ahead and wants to say right now. Let's see it inside. He tayeva vein sarasa tayeva. Idilma he tayeva. When it says he tayeva, the miyad is not going on the tzara. Vein banat. It's going on anyone born from the union. Hat sarasa, but at sarasa would be a tayeva, and it would be asa. So that's the question at hand. How do you view the tzara? The question is at hand. How do you view the tzara? So Amalei. So who asked the shaila? Rav Yehuda asked Rav Sheshes, and now Rav Sheshes is answering Rav Yehuda. Amalei said Rav Sheshes to Rav Yehuda. Tini Suwa, you learned it. Okay. Take a look at page 83. Page 83. We begin. Elkanah divorces Chana. Chana is a Gerusha. She can't marry a Kohen. Chana goes ahead and she marries Ruvain. Right? Chana marries Ruvain. Now, Ruvain dies, and falling in front of Shimon are two women. Right? Two women, Penina and Chana. Good? So now, let's say Shimon was a Kohen. Let's say Shimon was a Kohen. Okay, Ruvain had been a Kohen. He divorced her. No, Ruvain. Oh. So, no, there's no Kohen over here. Guys, Chana is a Gerusha. So she's puzzled to marry the Kahuna. Penina is fine. She's not a Gerusha. Now, if Shimon goes ahead and is Gorish Penina, you're going to have two women who are out of the ballpark. Chana out of the ballpark from her relationship with Elkanah, and Penina out of the ballpark from her relationship with Ruvain, if for Shimon. So we tell Shimon to go ahead and give Chalitza or Yibam to Chana and leave Penina. Okay, you don't want it to go ahead. So you have two women. One is Kasher at Kahuna and one's Pasal at Kahuna. So what do? Go ahead and do Yibam or Chalitza to the one that is Pasal rather than giving Chalitza to the Kashera. Good? Okay, so now with that in mind, says the Gemara. Paisa'achas Kashera, V'achas Psula. Pashid, one of the women that is falling in front of him is Kasha to the Kahuna, because she's not a Gerusha or a Chalutza. And one is Psula, because she was a Gerusha from a previous marriage. If he gives Chalitza, Chalitz le Psula, then he should give Chalitza to Psula. Why? You don't want another one. Now, and if he wants to do Yibam to Kshera. Now, fellas, in the picture that we saw, is there anything wrong with Shimon marrying either one? He's not a Kohen. Shimon's not a Kohen. He can marry either one. So if the scenario is one as we just painted, why should Shimon give a hoot? Who he goes ahead and gives Chalitza to, who he does Yibam to. It makes no difference to him. He's not a Kohen, right? So Gemara wants to know, what does it mean? My Kshera, my Psula. Elam Kshera means Kshera la Alma, means it's kosher to the world because she is squeaky clean, not a Chalutza, not a Gerusha. And Psula means Psula la Alma, she's a Gerusha or a Chalutza, like the picture we saw. Kivin diddly day, since the Shimon, Chazia, they're both seen. Guys, since the Shimon is not a Kohen, he can go ahead and be Miyabim, do Chalitza, the one. My nafkalamina, what's the sweat of his back? Why are we making him give Chalitza to what? To the previous Chalutza or Gerusha, to the previous Gerusha? Why give Chalitza to the previous Gerusha? Why doesn't he go ahead and do whatever he wants? So therefore, it's not what we thought. Therefore, it's not what we thought. Ella must be lav. Kshera is kshera lei, and psula lei. It must be what? Two women falling in front of him. Now, how can one be kosher and one be pasul? Umayniu. It must be machzeh gerusha so. Vikatani mhoya miyabein likashera. And if you want to do yibum, you do yibum to the tzara. In other words, you have two women falling in front of him. One, again, our case of machzeh gerusha so, guys, right? Falling in front of him is a woman that was asa to the husband. The husband shouldn't have married her. Ruvain married a woman who had been divorced and remarried. There's a named Chana. There is a tzara panina. Now Ruvain dies. Falling in front of Shimon is a psula. Who is that? Chana. A keshera. Who is that? Is what? Is Penina. According to Rav, what should it then be? Penina is clean, right? You can't do yibum. It's a shaila. I shouldn't say Rav. It was a shaila. You shouldn't be able to do yibum, yeah? Yet what does it say? If you're going to do yibum, do it to the kshera. So you see that what? You can do yibum to the kshera. So that we have a proof. It's not a kasha. Rav Sheshes is telling Rabbi Yehuda who asked the shaila, and Rav Sheshes is telling Rabbi Yehuda we keep the shaila. One more time again. When you have two women falling to a brother, Reuven remarried a woman he shouldn't remarry. It was machzeh gerusha. Now falling to him is two women. Good. We want to know, can he do yibum to the tzara of the machzeh gerusha? In our scenario, Chana is the machzeh gerusha. Penina is what is the. Says Rav Sheshes, you learn the answer to it, and he's quoting this mission, this psula, the ksher and psula were being mechadesh, that it's not speaking about kshera to the world and pasal kahuna. We're not speaking about that at all. We're speaking about this particular scenario. What's the particular scenario? Two women are falling in front of Shimon. One is pasal. Why is she pasal? Because Ruvain married a woman he shouldn't have remarried. Why is Penina kasha? Because she's a tzara. Says the Brisa, you could marry the tzara. You could do yibum. So let's be poishit the shaila. In that scenario, you could perform yibum to the tzara. That's what the Gemara is saying. Now that you understand it, lie, that's not the case. Always like that. Says the Gemara, La'olam kshera kshera la'alma. It's Taka speaking about a woman who could marry a kohen. And Pesula is speaking Pesula la'alma, a woman who can't marry a kohen. What was the question? Vaskeitner on Shimon, Shimon is not a kohen. With the Karmi, Kivin de Chazia, since the Shimon, he can marry either one, my nafkal amina. Why would we care? Why do we tell him, give the chalitza to who? To the woman who was a gerusha. Mishum de Rabbi Yosef. That's because of Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef kan shana Rabbi la'yishbach adam mei boyroi v'acherim tzrichim lehen. Don't throw out water in a pit when other people need it. It's a fancy way of saying, I already have a woman that is asa to marry a kohen. I have a gerusha. If you're going to go ahead and give chalitza to the one who could marry a kohen, you're going ahead and creating more isurim. So rather, keep the one that's existing, the Issa, the Gerusha, she's Asar, give a Chalutza, it doesn't make her more Asar to the Kohen, she's always Asar to the Kohen, and leave Penina, the what, as a woman, as a Tsaru, who can marry a Kohen. That's the answer. But it has no bearing on a Shaila of whether the Tsara of a Machzeh Gerusha so you could perform Yibum or not. It has no bearing on that. Toshma, let's be Paishat the Shaila, let's take another stab at it. Hamachzeh Gerusha so, Mishanisas, you go ahead and take back a gerusha after she had remarried. V'tzarasa, he v'tzarasa chaletzes. Both he and her tzara require chalitza. Now the havamina of the Gemara is that the husband dies, Reuven dies, Penina and Chana are falling in front of Shimon. Shimon has to do chalitza to both. Fred Gemara, he v'tzarasa sal kedaitach. How in the world could you only have to give one chalitza to a whole house? You never have to give chalitza to two houses. So when it says he mitzaras chaletzes, he mitzaras sakadait, was that possible? Ela ema, what do you have to say? Oy he, oy tzarasa. You say either he or her or hatzara, right? In other words, mashma, you can't do yibum to the tzara. Either do yibum to that one, kedushin's typhus, or the other one, the tzara, but you can't go ahead and do what? You can't do yibum to the tzara. Says the Gemara, v'lav terutzi k'metarzala. Didn't we have to correct the brisa when we said he the sarasa chaletzas, right? In other words, obviously the script of the brisa was corrupt because you had to edit the he sarasa. Once you have to edit one part of the brisa, the brisa lost its validity somewhat, and therefore now therefore what? Sarasa oy chaletzes oy misya bemes, right? The sarasa, you either do chalitza or you do yibum. So you have no raya because I can edit it and say you don't have to dafka do chalitza. I possibly can do yibum as well. Okay. I wish everyone a great Shabbos. See you, B'ez Hashem, Shabbos. Thank you for listening.